Yes, man dem and woman dem. What's the opposite of man dem,
Yeah,
mate?
them. Yeah,
Gal dem, bruv. I fucking knew that as well. Jesus, making me actually sound unk status saying that. What's the opposite of man dem? That's cringe. Um, Welcome back to GNS, Grows Not Showers. It's an audio special because I'm tired, basically. That's it. And this is what Camille has to put up with. Camille, I'm tired. I don't want to show my greasy little face. But yeah, mate. So welcome back to another one. How are we feeling today? How's your week been?
It's been all right. I mean, we've kind of gone into a dealer this week, and for the first time in my life, or my bodybuilding career, I should say, I'm actually enjoying the deload, and I'm not like feeling the itch to train. Yesterday, I slept 17 hours, which was an interesting endeavor for me. I think one of my greatest superpowers from bodybuilding is the fact that I sleep like a fucking bear. Like I hibernate. So like I think coming up to this deload, I think main symptoms for those who don't know to look out for is like generally if you're just feeling fatigue. For most people, if you're struggling to progress things in the gym, in my case, my progressions were still going, but again, I am enhanced, and it's hard for me not to progress.
Yeah.
So that's not something that was a big limiting factor, but it was more so like getting home after the gym and sleeping for 3 hours, or digestion started getting a bit fucked, or general like day-to-day mood, the drive to train. Like I noticed for a week straight, every time I got to the gym, I was like, fuck this again. And that hasn't happened for a while. So like all of these symptoms, I was like, okay, cool, it's time for a deload. And like, 3-4 days in, I'm now like, sleeping 17 hours. So that's like my body basically telling me like, Camille, you need to deload, you need to rest. So that's going pretty well. Rehab's going really, really well. Started leg training again. We're doing all sorts, pendulums, hack squats. Hamstrings are getting a good amount of hypertrophy volume now as well. I'm just not hinging, but I'm doing quite a few sets on seated leg extension, which is nice. So my legs are starting to come to life.
Do you mean leg curl, yeah?
Leg curl, yeah. What did I say?
Extension.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, yeah, leg curls.
Somebody commented I had to hop in. Some would have been like, actually, yeah, mate, we get
it. Yeah, how's your week been, mate?
It has been good. It's been an interesting one. So I realized I was horrifically burnt out. So actually put hours on my business WhatsApp now. And so far it's going great. The reception has been really good. And it's actually kind of like, before my day would be very weird. There'd be like an awkward lag in the middle of it. Like, because people would message me very late and very early, and then kind of throughout the morning, and then when they're done with work, it would mean from like 1 till 3 there was just very little to do, and it was very weird. Whereas now, because I've kind of been like, okay, please don't message me after 7, because my phone is off, like it's made that lag disappear. So now I don't have like an awkward 2 hours of waiting for work. It's like I just kind of solidly work and then I'm done. I'm still doing 60-hour weeks, so not too much. But mate, honestly, yesterday the idea of like 7 rolled around and I was like, oh my god, I'm done. Like it's such a weird feeling. I was like, oh my god, like the weight lifted off my shoulders. I was so tempted to do work. I didn't. I held myself accountable. I woke up this morning and honestly, those were the best check-ins I've done in like probably my whole life, because I just felt so fresh and ready for it. I was literally like waiting, because I was like, I'm not going to clock on before 9. So it was like 8:58 and I was like, fucking hit 9 o'clock, I swear to God. So yeah, good vibes. I had a hammy twinge that I've managed to rehab just by purely backing off and kind of being a bit more sensible of things. My knees are a bit flared, which is great. In fact, I need to film some shit to ping over to you. I'm just getting repeated quad tendinopathies or patella tendinopathies, which is really annoying. And I'm at the point where still I can't do squat patterns. So that's going to be a fun one for Camille to unpack. Most likely you're going to tell me my hip flexors are fried and or there's some lower back stuff going on, because I almost certainly think there is. But yeah, things are going good. Bodyweight dropped to actually lower than prep, which is yeah, I'm 201. The thing is, I'm not as lean, which is weird. I think I'm very flat. It's very weird. But I'm still on TRT, so I'm not exactly gassed about body weight dropping. And I ran bloods and they came back today and they are skewed. So me and Tim have knocked our heads together and we're gonna run a extended health phase. But yeah, like my bloods were like, you're swimming in prolactin, you're swimming in estrogen. No wonder you feel shit. And liver and kidney and hematocrit were skewed. So nothing that like we can't correct, but basically we were like, oh dear. My body was under a lot of stress from prep, a lot more than we realized. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you being under stress from the business and obviously overworking yourself also had an influence on that?
Yeah. Without getting like too deep into it, I started going to therapy and realized I've got anxiety that's quite a lot worse than I thought. And so I'm like working through that, and that's been one of the things is like I've been quite like I've had a little bit of depression recently. I realized part of it was related to like just me burning myself out with work, and because work was a bit dead, it was making me resent other things in my personal life because I felt like I couldn't enjoy them because I was just like on the clock all the time. Like I felt guilty for training, I felt guilty for seeing mates, I felt guilty for sleeping in too long, or for going to bed early. I felt guilty for not being like omnipresent on my phone if I'm awake. And that was I was just dragging myself through the mud. And I think that like anxiety and depression was like is what fucked my my prep. But equally I'm more prone to it at the minute because my bloods are skewed because I'm aromatizing like a motherfucker and I'm very prolactined. So like my emotional response to things and my stress is just like crazy high at the minute. So everything's skewed a bit more negatively anyway. So yeah, basically my bloods came back and were like, you need to look after yourself. And I was like, oh, fucking fine. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I might take an untrapped meal today. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, just because like I dropped from like I was averaging like 210 and now I'm down to like 201 over the weekend, and I'm a bit like that's a bit shit. Performance was also a bit wank. My legs look great, but my upper looks a bit dead. So it might have to be a 5 guys night.
How do you go about getting your hormones in check now? Like what's the next sort of, is it like a health phase? Is there any like supplements that you're taking or?
Great question. Yes, there's a list. I spent about 400 quid literally like 10 minutes before this. I spent 438.50. So I am going to run. We're going to bump up the omega-3s to help with like testosterone hormone transport, I believe. My folate levels were ridiculously low, which affects my hematocrit and blood pressure. So we're going to supplement that. And then I've got vitamin C, zinc, P5P, which are all just kind of generally related to things that I'm lacking. The P5P in particular, and the zinc is to help me manage prolactin, engineered muscle hepatic for my liver, vitamin D because I'm heavily deficient, which again, a lot of these are just like they have implications for like any organ. Magnesium, which I think is mainly for the liver. I forget what me and Tim spoke about. And then omegas, we're running up to 3 grams now instead of 1 gram. And then for all of these, I'm pretty much running double dose on what is recommended. And then Tim recommends something that I've never heard of before, astragalus, which is something I need to look into. But the plan is to run this for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then we're also going to put a bit more testosterone in and then a bit more masteron to raise my androgen to estrogen ratio to make me less of a, less of a woman in her menstrual cycle and a bit more of a like genetic man. But yeah, mad. I thought prolactin would be fucked because I've just been redlining myself for so long. I didn't realize estrogen would be so fucked. But yeah, interesting one.
like running clan stuff, does that affect your liver and kidney markers?
I would not directly. Indirectly, I mean, instantly my mind jumped to like muscle protein breakdown and the effect that can have on your kidneys in particular, potentially your liver as well. But the thing is, clen is anti-catabolic, so if anything, it would be a little bit better to run. My blood's a bit thick at the minute, and it's definitely would have affected heart rate and that. I mean, it would have, like, I guess, to be fair, indirectly, because clen and aggressive fat loss can cause you to excrete not only electrolytes but micronutrients that you need. So it might be the reason I'm so vitamin deficient and folate deficient and deficient in like magnesium and zinc and all of those issues. All of those things, like zinc in particular helps regulate, some of magnesium helps regulate your prolactin, and I'm deficient in those things, hence why my prolactin's off the fucking scale at the minute. So yeah, maybe indirectly through running clen, I've like depleted myself of nutrients, and that's why I'm getting such an aggressive kickback. But yeah, basically, my strength is fine. My physique is a bit mid at the minute. Like, if I look back at my shots where I was like 5 pounds heavier in prep, I look a lot better, which is a bit of a mind fuck. But once body weight goes back up and my bloods start to get back to normal, then I'll be chilling. But I've reached all-time best while like on TRT with ridiculously skewed bloods. So all-time best performance, that will carry over to look. I just need to be less inflamed.
Be less inflamed. There's a story of my life, to be honest.
But yeah, I'm pretty, like, I think all things considered, I'm happy with how things went, because nothing took a step back. Everything's progressed forwards. Even though I've felt very, very low recently. Like I've held things together really well, which is really reassuring. And
yeah, that's something you always like talk to me about. Like, for example, I had the week before when I went to Poland for my niece's baptism, and I was away for 4 days, and I remember checking in with you and I was like, yeah, shit week, but like I still gained weight, I still trained, and I still got like 80% of my meals in. It's just when I went to Poland I couldn't cook. And you're like, obviously, like from an athlete's perspective, like what's going on in your mind right now is probably like, oh, it was good, but it could have been better. But like, you tick the boxes, do you know what I mean? And it's like, that's the most important part. It's like, because bodybuilding is very much, it's a longevity thing. It's you know, can you tick the boxes for X amount of time? So like, chasing perfection is good, and I always will chase perfection. But you know, when there's a week that doesn't really go my way, I'm not gonna try and kick myself in the jaw and be like, oh, you're a shit bodybuilder just because I missed a meal, or you know, I didn't progress by a rep on my incline dumbbells.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of those things where like you kind of, to be a good bodybuilder, you need to be able to kind of critique yourself and know what you can improve on, but also you have to be able to appreciate like what you have done and what you are doing as well, you know.
Yeah, and you got like in order to be a good bodybuilder, you need to learn to take a step back. Like this Dilo taught me that specifically. To be fair, it is the first Dilo where I've actually felt like, okay, I'm so happy I'm not going to the gym today.
Yeah.
But like, I know when I go back to training on, what is it, Friday, so I've only got 2 or 3 days, but I know when I go back to training, like the itch will be there again, and that's what matters. I'm going into like this final 12-week phase now of this push up, and like this is the most uncomfortable I've been in a bulk in my training so far, but also I'm the most comfortable with being uncomfortable, in the sense that in my last bulk I pushed up and I was less uncomfortable than I was now, but I was less good at dealing with that uncomfortability, if that makes sense. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't have protocols in place, for example, doing my cardio, which has been a massive thing that I've done this off season, which has helped me. But like, things like that, I am more uncomfortable now, but I'm also better at dealing with that uncomfortability, and I'm also reinforcing myself mentally, being like, now that I am uncomfortable, this is where the magic happens. because like my visuals have really, like, I wouldn't say deteriorated, but like I've packed on a lot of timber in the past 8 weeks. I think I've gained, like, let's see if I can get my sheets up, but I've had some sort of ridiculous rate of gain recently.
Yeah, it just kind of blow up, didn't it, mate? It's not uncommon, which is why for listeners at home, I did pull back on Camille's food, but it was not the first thing we did. That's pulling back on someone's food is not something I'm a big fan of generally in a surplus, but like sometimes you look at someone's timeline, like big bumps happen. You know, Camille checks in, big bump, okay, chill. All I'm thinking is we'll just kind of let things mellow out and sit when they're done, or we'll just be a bit more cautious with it. Or if you're taking untracked meals, bank more calories. But then it was, 8 weeks on, and it's like, okay, we're still gaining aggressively, and we've still got a decent amount of time left on this timeline.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, well, yeah.
First of July, sorry, I was 90.7, and today I was 98.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So,
I was shoveling food into you and you weren't responding, and it's just that delayed response, isn't it?
It is. And do you know what it is as well? It's the environment of, like, I'm now living at home with my parents. That's when I moved back, was the 1st of July. And, like, don't really have the distractions of living with my mates. Not saying that they're a distraction, but like, my parents go to work, I'm sat at home, all I can think about is business, education, and gym.
Yeah,
like, that's literally all I have to think about. And then, like, these past 8 weeks have just allowed me to just eat, train, and recover like a motherfucker. That's why I've made so much progress in terms of my training. But that's, like, it just comes down to the point of, like, you need to protect your peace as a bodybuilder, because when you live a stressful life outside of bodybuilding, it's going to have such a big impact on your ability to execute the plan, but then on an actual physiological level, in terms of, cortisol being catabolic, etc., etc. But yeah, it has been going really well. It's just getting to that point where it's like, fuck, like, we're in it now. And like, with it being middle of summer, like, I always cut in the winter and I always bulk in the summer. I've just got my it's always skewed. But like, even I remember texting you the other day where I was like, Jack, I can't sleep. Like, I've got 2 fans on, the windows are wide open, bro. Like, I'm sitting there in a pool of sweat. Like,
yeah, like this is the thing, is like you were kind of saying, and you touched on there with like deloading and training performance being good. There are times in bodybuilding where it's like, if you look at it from the coach's perspective, and like I look at your sheets, I'm like, everything is great, like, just keep fucking going. But then there's the subjective of like, okay, I feel trashed, like, things are getting affected, and I'm like, okay, well, you're feeling shit, but like, your body is doing great. Like, your mind is struggling, but your body is doing great. And that's often like the balance is, it is good to push back on that a little bit. And like, I'm not gonna say, when you text me and you're like, I need a deload, I was like, okay, if you're messaging me saying you need a deload, you need a fucking deload. Like, there's people where if they message me that, I'd be like, okay, 4 weeks, and then we'll get there. Like,
but it's like, I was already messaging you, like, I was putting in the check-ins like 1, 2, 3 weeks before, being like, training's still really fucking flying, but like, I can smell it, like, I can feel myself creeping up there. And that was like a good 2, 3 weeks ago. And then this week I hit a session, went to got back home, ate, slept for 4 hours, woke up, I was like, Jack, it's time. Like, I can't keep doing this.
But it's good to practice that, like, that pushback. I mean, it's like anything, it's like coaching as well. Like, you can't leave yourself in that chronic state of pushing, but there's times where, like, you think like we're still creating a productive outcome. So if you can sit in that, but you need to kind of, this is the other thing, is if you leave it too late to pull back, then the pullback is not going to be enough. Like, if I told you, now, mate, have another week, how long would you need a deload for? Probably a fucking month. Because like, now, when you're already fucked and you're already needing a deload, me delaying it by every single session could be like another 3 days, and then the next one might be another 4 days. And like, it just gets worse and worse. You dig a bigger and bigger hole, performance loss gets worse, you get softer, you get like, it's just a waste of time, you chase
like, from your perspective as well, like, looking back on my sheets, the fact that I was progressing so aggressively and pushing body weight so aggressively, that is bound to have like a big toll on my body.
Absolutely.
And like, I don't think I've deloaded this shit at all. I remember when I was natty, I used to deload like every 2 to 3 months, whereas now I think I've only deloaded once this year. But like if you think about like what we've mapped out in terms of now doing another 12-week phase and then going into a cut, had we not done a deload, like we're sacrificing another week of potential progress to then have another 12 weeks of potentially skewed progress or less than what it could have been had we just taken a week off, if that makes sense. It goes back to like, you know, going from phase to phase and mapping out accordingly. We already said that we were going to do one last push-up because we want to bring up my legs, right? And like it just makes more sense if that's an actual priority to then, you know, pull back, rest up, make sure that I'm feeling as fresh as I can do before we then implement, you know, proper leg training, proper progressions with leg training, because that ultimately, that's what's going to fuck me up the most. This past deload is mostly or almost all fatigue built from my upper body.
Yeah,
which is fucking nuts, but because I've been training upper body 4 times a week, it's been getting hammered, absolutely hammered. So that's probably why. But yeah, it is, I think it is probably the best call to action.
deloading is always one of those like, why did you make that call? It's like it's multifaceted. There's several reasons. It's like, okay, we've got, you want to deload, we've got, you're knackered, you're injured, like sleep is a bit fucked, drive to train is reducing, like performance is getting harder and harder to like build on and sustain. You know, scale weight pushing up, some of that is going to be inflammation. And so that also gives us a good idea of like, okay, yeah, you're probably feeling pretty fucked. It's never just like, okay, a good deload usually comes about from like 2 or 3 things giving us a bit of a, okay, we should probably pull back fairly soon.
Yeah.
And again, that's where knowing the client and like knowing yourself comes into it in terms of like, okay, do you need to deload or do you need to just kind of think about deloading on the horizon? Yeah, with you, like I definitely think we made the right call. I think I kept you in a little bit longer and you've done really well. I'm really pleased with that. I don't think keeping you longer would have made much sense, but I'm glad I didn't cut you short because I think that also would have been a detriment.
Do you know what it was for me? Was because I went to Poland and that was almost like, well, I didn't train for like 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
So that definitely did clear a bit of fatigue, but then I went back to training and after the first session, I was already fucked. So I was like, I've already taken three, 4 days of training. That simply wasn't enough. So I was like, okay, that is, I waited till the end of the week, but I was like, that's an indication that like I need like a full week off. But yeah.
100%, man. 100%. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the end of the next mini cut whenever it comes. Again, particularly because you're someone where like you do hold body fat well, you can get lean quite quickly. And particularly obviously it's going to be your first assisted cut. So we open a whole bunch of different avenues there as well. So
yeah, buddy. Yeah, I'm really, 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 really excited to cut because I remember like at the end of the 8 weeks that I did the cut that I did with you, the pre-photo shoot prep, I was at a higher body fat percentage than I am now, and like at the end of the 8 weeks, the visuals were already like really fucking gnarly. So to see if we do it assisted, potentially maybe get some cleaning as well. See how much fucking body fat we could strip off. It sounds weird, but I'm actually concerned. Like, what would happen if I got too lean too quick? How would we go about that?
Refeeds.
Feed me.
Yeah, refeed the output. Or like it depends kind of like if you're using lipolytics or not. Because it's hard to like, if it was consistently too much, it's like, okay, probably just reduce lipolytics. Or if it's just kind of occasionally happening, like if there's just a few days where you're dropping, yeah, I'd probably just catch it a little bit with refeeds and de-outputs. Because for you, there's a balance to like, we want to drop fairly quickly, but there is a too much 100% for you. And it does, there are very little signs as well. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
Like with a photo shoot prep.
That's like my thought process, because it's like last time we cut, I was cutting like a good kilo a week consistently for like 8 to 12 weeks straight.
Yeah.
With lipolytics, who's to say that that couldn't go up? But is it like a question of, do we implement lipolytics at the beginning, or is that something that we go to invest towards the end, potentially when I actually go into prep and we're trying to get that extra, 2, 3, 4 kilos to really see the look come to life?
I'd say always towards the end, like when you're nearing a point where either most of the cards that you can play, you've played, and you're now like, okay, cardio is high, food is low, fatigue is present. That's when a fat loss agent is a good idea. Or if it's like where you're at isn't quite marrying up. So if it's like, okay, composition isn't great, but we've not got too many more cards to play. Or like, okay, food is not crazy low, but it's low for composition. Cardio isn't crazy high, but it's high for composition. That's when it's like, okay, we'll speed you along with some lipolytics. And then when you get to the point where like you're in a bit better nick, then it's okay, let's maybe start to like play those other cards. But you always, I would never open with a lipolytic. Because you've just got too much to play with. It's just too easy. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. I'll look at a 200-calorie deficit, bro, and that will kickstart something devious with me, I reckon.
Yeah, I could easily just like keep cardio the same, pull out 500 calories, you drop a shit ton easily, and then you'd still, if we keep androgens in, or potentially were to look to like lightly escalate androgen, or not androgen, but like if we were to just add in GH, right, add to your performance enhancers, which lends itself to a deficit already, but also lends itself to recovery. Like we can leverage that and recomp a bit more aggressively as well. So, there's a lot we can do there. But yeah, you're not like, if it got to the point where we're like, okay, running food any lower is going to be a detriment to training, running cardio any higher is going to be a detriment to training. That's when you go down the route of fat loss agents. Or again, like say for whatever reason you just weren't responding to cardio or food, then it's like, okay, well, yeah, fat loss agent in. You want that exposure to be not ridiculous. Like we might not need it in a mini cut, and if we don't, cool. Like there's no need to run it. Because like particularly with someone like Clan, like, well, as we were speaking about earlier, like there are health implications of doing it. So it's not something that like, it's not like you're him buying where it's like, just fucking toss it in anyway. Like it is something that you do need to kind of monitor how long you're on for and dosages, etc. But but like it's a nice card that we can play. Like basically, I think probably what will happen with you is we'll get to a point where like, okay, everything's fucking flying. Let's go for bonus points, short exposure to clan. And then just like, just like let you absolutely rip through the scale. And then pull it out and get you to a good point. But yeah, like there's a lot of options as well. We can see how your appetite sits. We can see how your energy sits. We can see how training sits. But yeah, there's quite a lot of options that we've got there. But because your androgen load, like again, typically for those who've listened for us for a while will know, so just bear with this, but like androgen load typically is highest during a surplus, middling during a deficit, and then you pull it down to a baseline and you would hold body weight. Like I'm kind of roughly doing at the minute with a small surplus. But for you, your androgen load is so low that we could easily just maintain it through the deficit. And because we're still responding to it, we could easily just like decide to introduce things or just keep it as is, and you'll still again recomp really aggressively through it, which again is why relative to other people, I'm happy letting your condition fade a bit. I'm not going to get you fat, but I'm happy getting you a bit more off-seasony because there's just so many cards we have to play. And you're also someone who can diet so fucking easily. But yeah, it's just not going to be a struggle at all. Like the reason that I'm trying to stay tighter in this off season is because deficits are a shove for you. And this first exposure, we can kind of like, I don't want composition to stray too much further from where it is now. If it did, I wouldn't be like, oh dear, like no, it'd be fucking 8 weeks, you'd be a new man, like easy peasy.
I'm trying to work out because do they do weight caps at the amateur level for classic as well? Do you know?
Typically it's height caps for PCA.
That's where I'm at now, because for tall it's 180 centimeters. So I'll be competing that, but I don't see any weight cap, to be honest. So that's interesting, but not that I would be anywhere close to the weight cap. But
it only really gets introduced at the higher levels. Like, this is the thing about bodybuilding, is like the amateur ranks don't really lend to the like pro ranks. So maybe at like PCA Pro or PCA Pro shows they would, or like at nationals and stuff like that, maybe they do. But no, like for like a standard, like if the first show you'll be entering, because we probably would want to have a run at like a PCA show, a pro qualifier, and then potentially nationals when you compete. But like the first round of like, you know, your amateur PCA shows, nah, they don't really have a weight cap. It's just like you have the same way that like with standard bodybuilding at PCA, you have like short, medium, tall, and then they just, you know, do 1 or 2 or 3 depending on how many people enter. And if there's not enough, they'll just do bodybuilding. Same thing with classic, because typically there's like classic, short, medium, tall. And then if there's one medium, they'll be like, right, you're closer to tall, so we're just going to do short and tall. Or if there's just like, we've got 3 lads, it's like, okay, well, we'll just do classic bodybuilding then. But yeah, usually it's kind of height related.
And like when you win, like say for example, an overall, does that mean it's split up into categories and then split up into classes? So you have classic physique and that's split up into classic tall, classic short, etc.
Yeah.
If you win an overall, that's you win in the whole category. So like for classic physique or for open, is that how that works?
No, it's you win the whole of like your gender.
Oh, it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So how would like a men's physique, for example, stand next to an open? Because obviously they don't, you can't judge them on their legs, for example.
Yeah. Typically you wouldn't. I'm gonna say typically you don't tend to see men's physique do overalls, but that's a bit of a generalization and isn't always true, to be fair. This is where things get a little bit sticky. And it depends on the federation and depends on the day. But usually the thing for a lot of amateur shows is it's usually clear who's going to win the overall. Like,
yeah, I've always wanted to win an overall, but if you're saying I'm going to be standing next to the open boys, I'm a bit more hesitant.
Well, conditioning,
Buffalo next to me, like.
Yeah, but conditioning, man, it's rare that you have a junior or a first timer win an overall. Like, that is very rare. It depends on the show, but usually it is like the more experienced people. But again, like, you know, if you're men's physique and you show up and you're fucking wham and you fit, I think it is like who fits their class criteria the best as well.
I think so.
I believe that's how they judge it. So if you're like super classic and there's just like an open bodybuilder who's just like fine, they'll be like, okay, well, Mr. Super Classic can win it. Or if you're very men's physique and there's a guy who's in classic who's basically just small bodybuilder, they'll probably be like, okay, Mr. Men's Physique, you can have it, as long as there's like condition and muscularity to back them. But yeah, so you would, if you, depending on the day, a certain top number of a class get an invite to finals. And usually it depends on like how many people are in that category. And then you would go along to finals, and then if you do well there, I think at finals is where you would go for, I think finals is the pro qualifier. Someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. It depends federation to federation, which is great. And then it's either you, yeah, I think that is the pro qualifier is finals, and then after that you go to the British, and if you win that, then pro, I believe, PCA. Someone correct me. But yeah, the thing is, different feds do it differently, and different feds also judge overalls differently, or have like different shows and different rules and things like that, which is always great and fun. Typically, PCA and UK DFBA operate very similarly, and then you just have WMBF doing their own thing. And then we don't talk about FitX. Sorry, FitX.
Yeah, fuck FitX.
Yeah, no.
You can turn pro for like PCA, for example, I swear.
Yeah.
But then yeah, you can win a pro card in PCA.
Yeah, give me a PCA pro.
Yeah. Would you have to win that before you win your IFBB?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Completely different levels. I don't think you'd have to win it, but they're like PCA pro is not anywhere near an IFBB pro. They look nuts, but they're not an IFBB pro.
Yeah. Makes sense.
You would win. You'd have to win nationals to then go do international shows. Then the international shows are where all the pro qualifiers and crap are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then if you do those, then you have to go for the Olympia qualification shows, or you get an Olympia invite. And then you're on the Olympia stage, and if you win that, you're set.
If you win that, then you're Miss Olympia.
Yeah.
Damn, fuck. Starting from the bottom.
Yeah, so it's like amateur, and then you wouldn't need to win an overall to get a pro card, but especially not in an amateur show. But typically the two do go hand in hand. But yeah, like you can win a pro card in like your specific like fed or what's it called, class, that's the word. You can win a pro card in your specific class, whereas like if someone wins an overall, it might be like, oh, there's an open bodybuilder or a men's physique guy who was just better at that category, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not doing that category, so was I the best in classic? Yes, I was, given my pro card. But yeah, it's confusing at the amateur ranks because, well, first of all, they change the rules all the time, which is always fun. They change how many people can go into each show, which is also always fun. They change how many shows they're doing a year. They change the rules on height and weight or age quite a lot. And also they all seem to have different rules as well. And they all have different rules for like I think it's WMBF do novice bodybuilding and first timers. I don't know if they do a first timers. They do novice bodybuilding, so it's like, okay, if you're a bodybuilder but you've competed but you've never placed inside the top 3, then you're novice. It's just a little bit weird and confusing how they decide to all do it. And particularly this year with the UK DFBA pro shows, it's been very confusing when they're running it. They've changed the date, and everyone still seems a little bit confused when that's going on, or if that show that now overlaps with another show is the pro one or what. It's very weird.
Damn, fucking exciting stuff.
Yes, brother.
On stage, it's been like almost 6 years now of just training, and it's like I would have loved to step on stage last year, and like we were also playing around with that idea, but the show that we were eyeing up was 2 days after my final end of year exam.
Yeah,
the thought of going in and giving someone a massage with hollow cheeks and a tan.
Which cheeks, bro? Which cheeks? Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't in hindsight. Like, I know it's cool to compete as El Natural, but really it's just kind of bringing a look that you like. And like the thing is, I think either way with something like that, there's going to be an inherent dissatisfaction because you're like, okay, let's say you place well, but you don't win the overall. You'd be like, oh fuck, could I if I wasn't working? Or like, if this was the case, if I hadn't done a photo shoot first. But if you place badly, then you're probably 100% going to be, or if you place second even, you might be like, oh fuck, what if I had, what if I like left it a year? What if I didn't do the shoot? What if I'd like, I hadn't worked, I'd want to come off. Or like maybe if it wasn't just through uni and all that, like, there's too much dissatisfaction when there's too many things you can kind of blame it on. Whereas I think as well, like, you're much more ready, I would say now. Like, your mindset is a lot more like towards the back end of the deficit previously. Like, it's normal, but you're like, I kind of want this done. Because you'd recently almost fucking been killed off by me. And like when that's in the back of your head, I think when you get out of the deficit, you're like, okay, this is cool, this is what I want, but then you get put back in it and you're like, oh dear, actually this is shit. Whereas now it's like you've had enough space, you've had enough season, you've got something that you're excited to present, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Like the main thing for me was, it was the first time I was in that sort of deficit. It was the first time I saw quad striations. It was the first time I saw, okay, I have seen veins on my abs before, but that was when I was 16 and walking around that fucking sub 10.
Yeah.
It definitely, for me, I needed to, it was a reality check but an ego boost at the same time. It was like, I saw my strong points and I saw my potential, but at the same time, it outlined exactly what I needed to work on. And that was more beneficial to me than potentially stepping on stage and doing what you just said. Like going with that mindset of being like, okay, I'm happy with this, but this is what I need to work on. And now having worked on that and really, really bringing up my weaker areas, I am so fucking excited to like cut down, like you said, and just to see the actual tissue that I've built. And like I said, like it was my first cut. So potentially stepping on stage in my first cut, there's a lot of risk there because I was already in uncharted territory. I was already fucked and didn't know what to expect. And I got to that point, that sticking point of 77 kilos. And I was like, Jack, if I drop any more now, I think I will drop dead. Which again is to be expected, but not for someone who's ever dieted like that before. Now going into it, I know what to expect. I know that my mentality is going to get fucked. I know that it's just going to be a bit of a slug towards the end. So when I get to that stage, it's not a surprise. It's not like, oh, Jack, what the fuck's happening? It's oh, Jack, it's happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, like you said, every time you prep, you get better and better. And I'm almost excited because I want to, now that I know what to expect, I want to test myself. I want to get leaner than I did last time. And I want to see what I can achieve with, one, the added tissue, but two, the shift in mentality. And ultimately, with every single prep, you're gonna get better. The process is gonna get, not the process won't get easier, but you'll get better at doing the process. And ultimately, you're just gonna bring a much better look. So I hope so that I will get striated glutes this time. I'm fucking gambling on it.
Man, 100%. Like that's the thing. I think, you know, for a first cut ever, really, and like, you know, if I was talking to Nat about this today, I was like, because you just fell off the fucking bridge, you just nosedived, and it really did come out of nowhere for both of us. Like if that had happened in a prep, that would have been like, shit, I have to feed you. That's going to fuck our timeline. Whereas now it's like, okay, I can build that in as a like, okay, we need to get you lean to start off. There's not going to be too many warning signs to me to preempt you dying potentially. So that means that if you die, it's like, okay, we have to react now. I can't just be like, okay, Camille, take this weekend off cardio, you know, run an extra 100 rice or something. Like, you know, have like go and sniff a Squares bar, you'll be fine. Like, you know, it's like, okay, Camille is dead and buried. Like, so, you know, knowing that from like a coach's perspective as well is huge because it gives great insight into like how you operate and what works well for you. And yeah, 100%, like having your first diet be a prepper, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of unknowns, and you're just never, it's really luck based if you're then going to bring your best. Because there's just too many unknowns. And like you said there, you get better at it. Like the prep that I was doing felt really fucking easy. I was absolutely fucked, but because I've been fucked before, I was like, well, this isn't the most fucked I've been, so this is fine. Like yeah, I don't feel like I'm in an off season. I don't really feel like I'm a human, but like I felt worse than this, so this is fine. And you do get better at it and like more efficient at managing it and knowing what to expect and knowing how you feel and knowing what's normal. And yeah, you just get better practiced at it. And as well, when you've got something to compare to, it feels more rewarding, like you said, to be like, okay, I can't wait to show off this tissue. That's why whenever anyone says, hey, I want to compete, I'll be like, okay, photo shoot. Like show it, like, because I mean, if you did the photo shoot and you got into stage condition, I'd be like, congrats, we're going to go compete. It's next week, you know, like, whereas if with a photo shoot, you can kind of, you know, practice it in a space that's not competitive. And you know, if you don't get the result you want, you can just be like, okay, moving on. And if you do, then you've got it immortalized.
That was the most legendary refeed I think ever.
Oh, mate, fucking yeah, you were fucked. I remember literally being like, oh my god, it's gonna be a fucking like.
It was 4 days, 4 days of on tracks.
Yeah,
I remember like sending you my visuals after like one day. I'm like, Jack, I'm starting to feel better, but like I'm still struggling to get out of bed. You're like, Camille, eat another takeaway.
Yeah, you dropped, you mad fucker. I was like, you're not meant to drop after like 6K cows. Like going like I was like, when I, because I was like, I was like, okay, it's Kamel's first diet. He's fucked. Yeah, I get it. But like, this will be fine. There's a lot of food here. I was like, he's gonna spill, but whatever. I was like, one day of spill and then like a couple of days tidy up, easy fucking peasy. And then you dropped body weight, looked sharper, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. You were like, this is the all-time best look after having 6,000 calories the day before.
Yeah, and you had some digestive stress off the back of it, and I'm like, I can't even tell. Like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, after that, I was like, obviously, I just had to. I can look back and laugh now, but at the time, I was like, okay, coach mode. Yep, just do it again. Because I'm just gonna kind of have to keep doing this until you get like close to spilling or spill, and then pull you back. But like, I can't leave you this fucked, and like I'm like, I can't give you like a 10,000 calorie challenge either. So I'm like, yeah, just do back-to-back days of this, pull back everywhere else, and you'll be fine. But yeah, you did get there.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's the thing, is that you were overdug. Like, I did not want to get you to that point. We managed to pull it back and save it, but like there was no real guarantee that that would have been good, because you just were overdug. If you give someone 6K cows and they drop, it's like, no, that's not a peak. Like, I'm trying to get your body above where it's at, and it's now, it's just got sharper. I'm not trying to drop, I'm trying to go up.
And like, ultimately, it was for a photo shoot at the end of the day. So there was no pressure to have fucking shredded glutes. I mean, I was wearing shorts the whole time anyway. Like, and I think that the look that we brought, I was still really, really, really fucking lean. I just wasn't like stage lean, and that's okay. That's completely fine. But because I was still having like things going out on the outside of it. I was middle of my dissertation, and I was starting up the business, which was doing really well because I was cutting.
Yeah.
So it just didn't really make sense to be like, okay, we're going to get you in stage condition when you're not stepping on stage.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, if like so far, like with I keep using that as an example, but fuck it, if the shoe fits, like this is the first time I've dieted him, and he's just chilling. Like, he's just absolutely fucking thriving. We ran a D output because scale weight was getting a little bit fucky, and I was like, okay, it's almost certain the inflammation. Ran a D output, and then his rate of loss just accelerated. He looked bigger and fuller and leaner, and I was like, okay, we'll keep going then. And like, for him, it's like getting on stage is just piss easy. Like, yeah, he feels fucked, but he's just doing it, and it's fine. And like, we've not experienced any major pushback.
What would you say is like the biggest difficulty, or like the biggest limiting factor for getting people on stage?
I would say it is mindset. Like, it is not mindset, because that's kind of a bit like gatekeepy. It's just your brain. Like, people who are more chilled out and are more like, yeah, cool, whatever, like, tend to get leaner easier, whereas people who are kind of like, oh, I'm really fucked and I'm stressed about it, like, they tend to be the ones who, it's almost like bodybuilding's kind of fucked, because like in the off season, if you're really neurotic and really like on it, that tends to reward you. But if you can just kind of be like a robot in prep and just kind of do things, and if things don't go your way, you're just like, okay, whatever. But if you can basically just be like a hippie in prep and still follow the plan, then you'll do really well. But like, Nat telling me he's fucked, he'll be like, hey, I'm fucked, and I'm like, okay, and then he'll be like, cool. That's pretty much. He'll be like, I'm fucked, but I'm in prep, and I'll be like, yes, you are. We're gonna pull back cardio, and he's like, okay. It's not like, oh, am I gonna be ready on time? Am I not gonna be ready on time? He doesn't really like. He is proper relaxed. Like, he won't be like, oh, when's the next peak? What are we doing for this? What do I need a refeed? What's this gonna look like? He'll just kind of be like, it will happen when it happens. Like, I'm just gonna eat my next meal. And I think that's what's lended so well to him being able to just kind of keep on going. Like, he's just doing it. And the thing is, if it wasn't a prep and I had him this lean, I'd have been like, mate, let's go do a prep. Like, let's fucking get you on stage. And same thing for anyone who I've done a photo shoot with, because most of them, like with Neo, We were doing a shoot, and he was like, I might turn it into a show. I was like, let's do the shoot and then see. Like, if after the shoot I say to you, hey, don't have an untrapped meal right now, go back to your baseline food pre-peak week, and you say okay, then yeah, let's do a show. But if you turn around and go, actually, I don't want to do that, then we won't. And like, you know, it's, I think if you can kind of land perfectly in line and get yourself on stage, and that's ideal. I think often the best preps are the ones that aren't planned, to be honest, like Dan's. I think that's why that was so successful.
I think it is really impressive for a team to have that sort of mentality straight off the bat, sort of like robotic, just crack on with it. When it happens. But it also does come down to trust in your coach. I feel like in order for him to be in that state and be a robot, there's got to be AI. There's got to be a coach, aka who's basically just pulling the hairs and telling them what to do. And I kind of felt the same when I cut with you. It's like I didn't really second guess anything. Like when in a gaining phase, you know, we might go backwards and forwards a bit more. Like you might have my input, you know, with this exercise or this programming, or should we try this or that? Like when it comes to prep, it's just like, just shut up and do what he tells you to do. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's the best way to be. Like I was the same. Like when I started with Tim, I was like, I want to have a say in everything. And then as I got more and more fucked, I was like, I don't care. Like, just like, I'd like Tim would say something and I'd be like, well, he's gonna get me pilled, so sure, whatever. Like,
you know, you get the less you can actually make like good decisions because emotions come into play. And like the more fucked you are and the more emotions you're under the influence of, the more skewed your judgment is going to be. And that's not to say people can't go self-coach, because many athletes have done it and they've brought a fantastic package. But it also, the athletes that do go self-coach and do bring a fantastic package also most likely have competed before with a coach, one, and two, have brought other athletes to the stage and are kind of experienced with prep, understanding how it works, etc., etc. So they have sort of that, how would I say, it's the experience in order to actually do it. Like the thought of self-coaching myself to stage right now, I could, that would be actual torture. Like I couldn't think of anything worse.
Oh, but mate, I mean, if I prepped you for stage and then you knew what your body weight was, and then you knew what off-season body weight was, and then you knew how the prep went, you could easily do it, because you are a very good athlete. Like if you land on let's say you land on stage at 200 and your off-season's like 230, and then you're self-coaching and you take your off-season to 260 at similar condition, you're like, okay, I'm probably looking at like 220, 230 with similar conditions, so I might go for 215. Like easy peasy. Like once you've got that experience of being through a prep, having prepped others, and you know what you're landing, that's the hardest bit for a first timer. Is, you know, I mean, look at Luke. Like Luke was on stage at like high 130s, I think, almost 140s on the show I went to, and now he's looking at being like in the 120s. Like you just don't know. You just don't know what body weight's going to be until you get there. And sometimes it's like with your prep, I was like, oh my god, it's like fucking 80 kilos, you madman, that's nuts. And then with other clients, it's like, oh no, it's like -4. Like, damn, sorry bro. You look at someone and you're like, you're big, and then their stage weight is still like 200 grams, and you're like, oh no. Like that's the thing, you just don't know what the physique is like underneath. Like Luke's always stayed pretty lean year round, but also we found out that actually he just holds fat really well, and that's not so great. Like, you know, you just don't know these things. Like when I would talk to Tim, I'd be like, bruv, I'm 215 and I've got like, I'm covered in striations and veins, what the fuck's going on? I can't be on stage at 215. And he's like, well, maybe you are, or like maybe you'll be 205. Who the fuck cares? I'm like, okay, fair enough then. But that's the difficulty, is just knowing like what that looks like for you. Like Dan could probably, if he wanted to, prep himself down and just, if he got a bit more upper body mass, just come down to like roughly the same body weight, if not like a couple kilos heavier, and just like clean up really easily. and do really well. But yeah, I think that kind of makes things a lot easier. Anyway, I better wrap things up before my next call.
Yes, sir.
Thank you everyone for listening. If you want to work with Camille, he costs $2,000 a month. So yeah, if you want to work with me, it's 20 grand a month. 100% of the proceeds go to a very charitable organization. It's called Us. No, I'm kidding. We're not that price. Someone's going to fucking comment it. I swear to God. I'll TikTok clip this and someone will make a comment on TikTok like, wow, you guys overcharge. Fuck off. Anyway, Camille, he's Camille_Archer Academy. Links are below. If you want to work with me, Jack_Archer Academy. Camille is very much the injury man. I'm very much the nutrition man. If you want to get wham, tan, and fuck people called Sam or Dan or eat lamb, then you know where to find us.
Buzz.
Right, thanks everyone for listening. See ya.